Welcome to another episode of From Shadows to Strength. I am your host, Tyson, alongside my co-host, Jay. If you have not already done so, please hit the subscribe button so you never miss another podcast episode. So today we're going to be talking about developing a healthier identity. We like to start off with a quote. Lasting change is built in identity. So 3 things: what principles guide your daily choices? What do you believe in? And how are you at managing your emotional response? So with that being said, we're going to start with understanding identity. So kind of defining what a healthy identity is. And that's, obviously going to be something that's rooted in self-awareness, in your values, your beliefs, and your emotional responses. So Jay, as a former military veteran, what would you say makes up your identity if it comes down to your values, your beliefs, and your emotional response?
I don't know. I've always just been like at the time when you first join, you're like serving the country and, wearing the flag on your shoulder and having that kind of pride and stuff like that. Just knowing like back then you hope to make a difference. It's like you wake up, you're hopefully making a difference. You're helping the people, keeping the country safe and all that stuff when you first join and that. And then, it's just staying in shape for your country, waking up, going to the gym, being able to, like, if you get called out for floods or forest fires and stuff, knowing that you can help evacuate people. You can, pick up the kids that need to be picked up. You can sandbag all day. You can do what needs to be done. So it's kind of like your identity. It's like, if you're going to wear the uniform, you should wear the uniform. You should look good in the uniform. You should look like, oh, that guy's in shape. He knows what he's doing. He's presentable and stuff like that. And what you see nowadays, I would not say it's a good
Trigger warning.
I would say it's not a very good representation when you see blue long hair, out of shape people squeezing into military combats. It looks horrible. And I don't know, back then there was a sense of pride we had when you put it on and you were in shape and you could handle whatever you had to do and be like, this family's house is flooded. You got to help them move all this stuff. No problems. We're fit enough. We can do that. And now, I don't know. It's just very different. To me, I take it as if you're going to do something, look the part. If you're going to be a police officer, look like you can be a police officer. If you're a firefighter, you need to look like you can drag that person out of that building. If you're going to be a paramedic and you have to get out and run, if you can't run
If you're going to be
people,
a trainer, don't be a bad trainer.
Yeah, exactly. You have to look the part of what you're doing. It's, I read this thing last week. It said, like, if you have that physical fitness in you, whether you're a business person, whether whatever, you just have that look to you, like you know what you're doing. Because if you could take care of your body, if you can take care of the food you put in it, if you can take care of how you present yourself, you're going to be so much more successful at your job if you look better.
Yeah. I mean, if you're faithful in little things, and a little, even though our health should be a big thing, but really taking care of yourself shouldn't be that hard to understand. I don't think it should be hard for people to understand that taking care of your physical well-being, your mental, emotional, spiritual well-being should really be something that we should seem foreign to us. So yeah, your uniform should be something you wear instead of it wearing you.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Right. So yeah, you're right. When you're either a military veteran or not a veteran, but someone in the military, someone who's a police officer, a firefighter, a paramedic, a trainer, I think not even just physical jobs, but you're right. I think if you walk into a board meeting and you're wearing a 3-piece business, a 3-piece suit, right? And it's more of a business setting. Why should you not still take care of your physical appearance? But again, this is kind of what we're touching on today, right? Is your identity. So obviously, if you're in a physical, let's say, job, more than likely your identity is linked to also your physical representation. It's a part of your identity. It's something that you wear.
Yeah.
Right? With pride, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
With pride. Yeah.
Like I've seen so much They say if
Go
you're
ahead, brother.
20 years old and you're in shape, no big deal. But if you're a 40-year-old or a 50-year-old and you're still in shape, the fact that you've had dedication for 30, 40 years of working out, like eating properly, and for some reason, I don't know why, food has become the most complicated subject I have ever seen in my life on the internet. It's like nobody understands how to eat now. And it blows me away. You and I get asked at the gym all the time, what about diet? What about food? I'm like, and you and I every day, like you can't pull your hair out anymore,
Funny boy.
but I'm always like, we're not on any diets. We just eat
It's a
real
life. It's a
food.
lifestyle. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lifestyle, whole food. And that's what's funny too. Is like, well, what diet do you want? I'm not on a diet. I just like, since when did eating good food become a diet? But that's kind of what it is, regretfully, because everyone is on, fast food, highly processed food. And look, I don't mind having a burger or pizza or a dessert from time to time. I'm not against that. That's fine. But that should not be a staple. It should not be a daily staple in your diet. So yeah, people are lost right now when it comes to stuff like that. Now, not to get too far off a subject, when it comes to that self-awareness, when it comes to who you are as a person, besides the physical, the things I think we also need to touch upon is internal, right? Internally, it is being disciplined, right? It's being accountable and responsible for your actions, your conduct, right? How you treat other people, your integrity. And again, that kind of goes around, what are your values, right? Values, and are you adaptable? Do you have respect? And it's always funny. I find respect always starts with self. If you respect yourself, you're going to have an easier time to get respect from others and to respect others in turn. And another thing would be empathy, right? This is something I think, as with a healthy identity, is the more I've lived and the more things I've been through in my life, the more it's helped me kind of build a form of empathy and compassion and understanding for the people that I work with, and kind of knowing why they are where they are.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Why they're struggling right now. And then, of course, another big part of it, and we're kind of talking about this right now, is the self-care aspect, right? So again, that the physical self-care, so that would be, exercise and nutrition. It would be things also along the lines of your emotional and your mental and your spiritual well-being, and even your social. Really, self-care is even your social. Is your circle healthy? And again, that's all going to boil down to your identity.
Yeah.
So to kind of go a little bit further now, so I want to discuss the role of identity in shaping our behaviors and our habits. And again, you talked about this when it comes to putting on a uniform, right? There's a bit of a behavior that comes with that, a bit of a mindset that comes with that, and there's going to be habits that come in line with that. There's going to be discipline that comes in line with that. So identity, identity is a blueprint for decision making, right? It's a well-defined sense of identity, and their choices and actions often align with our values and our beliefs. And most disciplined people in the world, they're not the most motivated. I mean, how many times you wake up, right? You're like, I got leg day with Tyson. Oh my God.
Yes.
Like it's not about being motivated to go to the gym or motivated to do, like, even you serving. I'm sure there's times you were not motivated to do things, but why'd you do them?
Just part of your duty, part of who you are. It's what you signed up to do.
Because it aligned with your identity.
Yeah.
You weren't like, just because I don't want to work out doesn't mean I'm going to miss a workout, but that's because of my identity. I don't need to be motivated, and I don't need to be disciplined in order to go to the gym. I don't even need to feel good, right? I might be tired and, no, because it aligns with who I am, right? And that's important. It's never about feelings. And we're in a society that's like, tell me about your feelings. How do you feel? No one cares. No, that's not true. I do care. But honestly, that's always what it is. The most disciplined people, they are not motivated. They are aligned. And that's something we're going to talk about again. I want you guys to kind of get that in your head. So if I identify, sorry, before I get to that point, it's also about taking action It's about following through. And it's also about doing what's necessary to change one's life. And that's also fighting against what your current identity might be. And that's tough. So, you have people that have maybe been overweight all their life, people who've struggled with obesity, or mental health, I should say, mental health all their life. They have these, am depressed. Yeah, you have mental health issues, no doubt about it. But then what happens when someone tells you have mental health issues, right? Your posture changes, your behavior changes. It starts to align with what you believe. You ever look at someone who's depressed? They don't walk with their head up.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Their head's down, they're hunched over, they're defeated, they're broken. Right? And that didn't happen overnight. That happened over time.
Yeah.
Because you've accepted that identity. Now, we have to look at it. So if you want to change something, right now, you need to take action. If you want to change your identity, if you no longer say, hey, you know what? I don't want to be this version of myself anymore. It is arguably going to be one of the hardest things you're ever going to do, because now it requires you to take action. It requires you to follow through. It requires you to do what's necessary to change your life.
And especially when I find when people, when the doctor tells them, yeah, you have depression, you know what I mean? All of a sudden it's like, okay, it's just what I thought. I'm good now. I've been diagnosed with depression. If anything goes wrong in my life, it's because of the depression. If I don't feel like doing something, it's because of the depression. It's like once they get kind of like that stamp from the doctor, then it's like they got a green light. No, I'm depressed.
It's
He says I'm
justification.
depressed. Yeah.
Yeah. I've loved the expression labeling is enabling.
Yeah.
I mean, it happened to me when I was a kid, right? When I got diagnosed with ADHD and depression, because it's something that runs in my family, right? It was like, oh, okay. So I have ADHD and everyone in my family has depression. So I guess that means I'm too dumb to learn and I'm going to be too sad to care.
Yeah.
And they don't explain that to a kid. Like, no, it just, you're going to struggle with this. You're going to have trouble with this, but it doesn't mean you can't.
Yeah.
But it's how we start to frame it. We almost like become victims overnight.
Oh, I see it with depression pills and stuff. A lot of times docs will give you, depression pills when you're feeling and stuff. And then I see people at the gym, they're like dragging butt and stuff. And I'm like, what's wrong? They're like, oh, I forgot to take my depression pill today. It's like, it doesn't happen that fast. If you miss one pill, all of a sudden you're not diving right back down to depression, because it takes a bit of time to build up in your system for it to help you with depression. But if you miss one pill, you're not going to crash. People crash in their mind. They think, oh, because I didn't take that pill, all of a sudden that's why I'm depressed today. It doesn't work like that, but they
It's a
convince
degree
themselves.
of the placebo effect almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the extreme almost. Right. Yeah, you're right. Because I've got family members on depression medication. And yeah, it takes time for it to build up. It takes time for it to take effect. It's not overnight.
Yeah.
It takes weeks for it to kind of build up.
Yeah, even myself, when I started, doctor told me it'll take 3 weeks till you start feeling a change, till it goes in and builds up in your system. But if you miss one pill, you don't go right back to full on depression, and then you miss one pill, you get up, you go to the gym, oh, I miss my pill, take it when I get home, no big deal. But it doesn't affect your workout. It doesn't affect what you do every day. That's, that's your mind. That's you fighting with your mind.
That's your identity.
Yeah.
Therein lies the issue, right? If I identify as a health conscious person, then my daily choices, right? Like my foods, exercise, it doesn't require even a thought. Like I said, it doesn't require the motivation, doesn't require discipline, because it's who I am. And it's just as that is for a positive thing, it's the same thing when it comes to a negative thing, right?
Yeah.
Whether you're struggling with weight, whether you're struggling with mental health, whatever it is, or whatever kind of victim mindset we've adopted in our life, well, then that's who I am. And you don't need to be motivated or disciplined to be overweight or obese, because again, that thought, your thoughts, your actions, they're aligning with what your belief is.
Yeah, it's
So
the
and
same.
this, go ahead, bro.
I was just gonna say, same thing. Like you talked about, like on the earlier ones, you talk about how you struggled with kind of drugs and stuff like that, and then like mine, when I got my depression and stuff like that, was like alcohol. It's like when you're depressed, you have a couple drinks, you think, oh, it's a big deal. I'll have a couple drinks. And before you realize, it becomes your identity. Oh, I'm having a couple drinks every night. And then it's part of my identity. It's like, oh, shit. And then it catches you. Like, I think one time we were working out, you're like, oh, you smell like alcohol. Yeah, I just had some last night. Take the edge off. It's like, how often are you taking the edge off? Taking it every
All the
night.
time.
Yeah. And then you're like, shit. And it just sneaks up on you. And you're like, and you were like, look, I know you. That's not part of your identity. Don't let it become part of your identity. And then when you told me that, I was like, yeah, he's right. Like, I don't need to do this. I could, and then I went out and bought one of those steppers, in-house walking pad
Yeah, the
things.
walking pads.
Yeah. And then every time I felt like taking a drink, yeah, go walk on that stepper for 20 minutes and see if you want to drink after, and then,
We'll definitely have to talk about that one, because there was a lot surrounding that, and I
yeah,
think that's a good one for another episode. That was and again, it's when vices and coping mechanisms creep into our life, there's usually a bigger issue
yeah,
that we're dealing with, and that was when we had started working together again. When you kind of when you came back to me the second time, and it was kind of getting you back to not wasn't even getting you back to baseline physically. It's trying to get
yeah,
you back to baseline mentally and emotionally,
yeah,
because it was a tough time for you then,
yeah,
and this is why so many people are struggling, because what they're attempting to do, it doesn't align with who you are. So then, because of that, you're battling negative self-talk, right? When you're battling with that, it's like we all know what we need to do, but then there's that voice, right? The conversation we're having in our heads, the I'm not good enough, I'm dumb, I don't deserve it, I'm lazy, I'm depressed. And the thing is we're so used to that voice that once it turns on, it's so hard to turn it off. It's one of the big things when I'm working with my clients is, how is your negative self-talk? Because it was something I battled with. It's something I'm always going to contend with.
yeah.
Negative self-talk, self-doubt, fear, anxiety. These are all things that will always be there. But as I've gotten stronger, not physically, but stronger mentally, more emotionally aware, and better spiritually, I find that voice, when it arises, it's more manageable.
Yeah. I find that too. Like now that I don't know. It's like when you get older or something, I don't know. There's some voices that are harder when you get older, but when you get older, you don't let certain things affect you as much and stuff like that. You have your close net of friends. You have your positive people around you. You realize all that other stuff was such a distraction, such a taking you away from who you are and stuff like that. And you just got to stay true to yourself. Like the happiest people I've ever met, like you and other people I've ever met, have only like 4 or 5 close friends. They don't have big circles of friendships. They don't have all this social activity they do and everything. They do enough, benefit them mentally, everything else, but they stay within their, like you say, identity, their who they are, and they don't try to do more than they want. Like people will call you all the time, let's go do this, let's go do that. I don't want to do that. Then don't do it. Do what makes you and your partner happy and brings you guys together and whatever. That's all that's important. That's all that's important. All that other stuff is just a distraction and useless. Just do what makes you and your partner, you and your family happy.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. One of the greatest things that going to prison did for me was detoxing my life with the wrong people.
Yeah.
Because that's all it was when I was young, was like all my friends. Then I went to prison. Where are my friends? Like where did all my supposed quote unquote friends go? Like they're all gone. And yeah, you're absolutely 100% correct. Now my circle is small. It's counted on one hand. My socializing mostly happens at the gym. I love socializing at the gym. I get along with a lot of people there. I have a lot of good association there, but it's not my close knit circle.
Yeah.
And it's not that there aren't good people at the gym. It's just I protect my circle so closely now. I guard that so closely because I also know the pitfalls of allowing not bad people, but just the wrong people into your life.
Yeah.
The ones that'll just take your peace. And it's so important, again, as you're working on your identity, is acknowledging that there are certain people you're going to have to let go because they're going to stop you from becoming who you need to be, and need to start setting boundaries. You need to start having some hard conversations, first with yourself, next with some people you need to let go, and then set boundaries. Don't be afraid to say no.
Yeah.
Just say no. It's okay. Because who you were, and maybe who we are, it's not who we are working towards. It's not who we're working on becoming. I always use that illustration of you got to wake up in the morning and kill your doppelganger. We need to acknowledge that there is two versions of us that exist. Now, the more you work towards this new, better identity, the more likely they're going to win the day. But you can't be ignorant to the fact that there is still parts of you, because we're imperfect, that are going to be there. They're always going to be just underneath the surface. So it's so imperative that when we're waking up in the morning is like, who do I want to be today? What do I need to do in order to be that person? And how is that going to make me feel?
Yeah.
Be aware. Every morning, right after my gratitude, I go through those three. Because it's just a reminder of today, who do I need to be? Okay, well, I need to make sure I'm a husband. I'm a coach. I'm a trainer. I'm a son. I'm a friend. I'm a therapist, maybe. Maybe I got a client who's coming in. He's gonna need a little bit of therapy, right? And it's like, okay, so if I need to be that, then what do I need to do? Well, if I'm going to be a good husband, I need to be loving. I need to make sure that I treat my wife as I would my own body. The golden rule: treat her as I would, love your neighbor as yourself. Treat her as I would want to be treated. Same thing with my clients, and that applies to everyone across the board. I want to treat people as I would like to be treated. Right? And that's it. That is fundamentally a part of my identity. Now, had you asked me that prior to going to prison, I honestly don't even know if I could define what my identity was back then.
Right. Yeah.
I did not have a strong sense of who I was. I think I knew who I was, but I look back at it now and it's just, my life was to a degree organized chaos.
Yeah.
It was absolutely unhealthy.
I
Right?
find that a lot with Gen Zs, like this new generation. They are so lost. They don't know who they are. They want to be everybody's friend. They want to be on all the social media things. They want to be on all the Instagram clicks and new thing, but it's not who they are. They're just following along the circus, you could say. Yeah, so many people I find in this generation, not just any kind of generation, there's so many people that just don't know who they are, don't know, you know, what makes them truly happy. And you don't get that until you just be alone for a while. Like
Yeah.
if you can be
Sit with
alone,
yourself.
yeah,
Yeah. Sit with yourself and even define what are your goals.
yeah.
Right?
You
They
talked
treat their
about,
goals like wishes.
yeah, 100%.
Kids now, right? And instead of being like, okay, this is my goal, it's like, okay, what are you actively doing to pursue your goal? But again, if it's not a part of your identity, then it literally is just a wish.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, is a lot of the goals that young people, just like myself, a lot of the goals that I had went contrary, even though I was living the wrong way. A lot of the goals that I had were contrary to what I fundamentally knew was going against the morals and values that I was raised with. And I think maybe that's why I wasn't successful in achieving them.
Yeah.
Is that even though I crossed a whole lot of lines that I didn't want to cross, I think deep down, there was always a part of me that was actively somehow fighting against me getting to that point, whether I know it or not, whether I can prove it or not.
Right.
And I'm blessed for it. I mean, I'm glad it only went as far as it did. I'm glad it only cost me 10 years and it didn't cost me my life.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank God. Right. And that's the thing too, is as we're working towards becoming this new version, the other thing people have to realize, and this is one of the biggest eye openers that I learned, is that you have to recondition your mind from years of conditioning. Again, so that's the negative self-talk. That's the depression, defeatist victim mindset. And I'm not minimizing mental health in any way, shape, or form. Okay, for anyone who's listening, I am not. Mental health is a serious struggle, but we are conditioned even more so today. Depression's always been. Always. It's always existed. This isn't like we just now have a label for it. We understand what it is more, which is great. We can treat it. But at the same time, it's become a crutch. It's become an excuse. It's become a get out of jail free card.
Yeah. 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 People say all the time, oh, I have depression and anxiety. Fuck, so why? You think I didn't sweat before every test? You think I didn't get nervous before every military challenge I did? Before, you think I didn't like dry heave in the toilet before I went to friggin' JTF2 selection? You know, I didn't
Well, you
sleep for
mean
3.
you got nervous doing what is it? They're not landmines, anti-personnel mines. You got nervous doing that? What, you
Yeah.
had anxiety doing that? Come on, soldier.
Yeah, I have a medical condition because I got nervous doing my job in Bosnia, pulling mines out of the ground. Yeah, it's like, oh, do you want to give me medication? No, use that anxiety, use all that because that's what's going to make you pay attention. That's what's going to make you learn. Man, I had so much anxiety in school
Can't even
over
imagine.
tests. But yeah, military training, going on my first tour and be like, okay, remember that 6 months of training on practice mines? Now all these are real. Let's go. You're first up. Like, you didn't think I soaked my clothes and had anxiety and everything else? Like, it was crazy, but I didn't use that as an excuse. Anxiety is a normal part of life. You're always going to be nervous on your first day of your new job, your first workout with your first trainer in a new gym.
First day of high school.
Yeah, high school, college, university, all of it. You're going to have anxiety. You're going to have like heightened awareness. You're going to have a bit of depression if it doesn't go right. If you have a bad day at work, yeah, you're going to be depressed. Shitty workout, shitty weather, car doesn't start, whatever. Yes, it's going to frustrate the shit out of you. Doesn't mean you have depression. Just means you have one of those days you wish you never have again. But it's going to happen. It's going to happen all through life. You're going to have days like that, you know? You don't think
Absolutely.
I've lost it on my snowblower for not starting? And when it's like right now and it's like a minus gazillion out, like it's been for the last 3 weeks, you don't think I've lost it on my snowblower? Doesn't mean I'm depressed or whatever. It just means, you know, you have that little burst of like, I'm going to throw this. Yeah, I'm going to throw this thing across the street. Yeah, but it doesn't define who I am. We're going to have weak moments like that. And then you're going to realize, all right, calm down, check what I need to check. It's probably just something stupid. And then I get it started, you know? But yeah, we're not perfect. You're going to lose it on shit. You're going to lose it in traffic. You're going to lose it on something. But if you can just pull yourself back, realize what you're doing, kind of pull the reins in a little bit, take a deep breath, you realize you'll get over it so much better if you can learn to control that instead of just popping a pill every time you have anxiety or depression. You know,
we become too dependent as a society on basically other things fixing us than us addressing the issue and working on it. And that was actually something that I refuse to do, because the first thing they do when you go into prison and into federal is they look at all the issues you have and they just try to medicate you. Because if they can make you a zombie, you're easier to deal with.
Yeah.
Right? Oh yeah, you have this, take this.
Yeah.
Like there was guys on the amount of methadone a few guys were on would literally kill.
Yeah.
But they build up such a tolerance Like if you and I were to take half their dose, we'd overdose.
Yeah.
You know, they just want walking zombies, and that's kind of like what they want in society today. Like, oh, okay, just take a pill for it.
I agree with you. Like military, when I was going through my bad phase, you would not believe the amount of drugs they were willing to
Dude,
give
you
me.
told me. I remember
Yeah.
you told me the amount of things you had in your drawer at home, your cupboard at home. I was like, no, dude, we are not going that route. Like,
Yeah.
we're just not.
Yeah. I had stuff to get me up in the morning, had stuff to
Yeah.
put me to sleep. I had stuff to get me through the day. If I had any kind of anxiety attack,
Something
I
to
had
piss,
stuff for
something to
that.
shit, something
Yeah.
to like, you're like, it's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. And they just throw it at you because they want you, they don't want any issues. They want you just to stay calm or whatever. So they will drug the shit out of you. And then, yeah, because it's easier. It's easier to do that than it is to,
Way
you know,
easier, brother.
yeah.
Absolutely. And it's cheaper too.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how
Doesn't
much
cost
my
them
pills
anything.
cost, but yeah, it's probably cheaper than having to go, put a qualified shrink in the military or a qualified somebody to help you, you know? But it's just easier. No, we'll give him these pills and he'll be good to go.
We'll check up on him from time to time. Make
Yeah.
sure he's okay. And that's
Yeah.
it.
I don't know why he's having this problem. We gave him pills.
So kind of going further into the discussion, so common roadblocks. I want to just kind of address for the audience now, so that again, people that are listening to this and they're listening to what we're saying, like, yeah, okay, that what they're saying makes sense. So let's address common roadblocks to developing a healthier identity. Like lifelong habits and tendencies are a big reason again, and we're conditioned, right? We're conditioned to do things a certain way. So now, I want to talk about how something that is deeply ingrained, like habits, can absolutely hinder growth. So we can think of like a fixed mindset, right? So ADHD, mental health, genetics, negative self-talk, and neglecting self-care, right? People who are waiting for all the stars to align for that right moment. Oh, let's start on the Monday.
Yeah.
Start on the new year. Next week. Like there's that. There's those who are fear of change, right? Those who lack focus. Again, that kind of might go to ADHD, right?
Yeah.
I can't do it. And then you have vices. We touched about that too, right? Vices can be another issue when it comes to it, right? These are all things that can kind of keep us in this fixed mindset that won't allow us to progress. So to ask you again, after retiring from the military, what struggles did you face when trying to kind of adapt to a citizen lifestyle?
Yeah, it's funny. When you first retire, you're as happy as shit. You're like on cloud nine, you're happy, you can sleep in, whatever. And I think about a month and a half after that, then you hit that wall of like, okay, what's my purpose? You know what I mean? So it's like you lose, and it's weird to say because I remember people telling me about it too. And I always thought that was bull. I was like, no, 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 no. It won't happen to me. It won't happen to me, But then you lose purpose because you had a job to do, you had a routine, you had this teaching people coming in underneath you and stuff like that. And you had this kind of like every day you were kind of achieving something. And then when that just stops and you're by yourself at home, alone with you and your brain for more time than you've ever been in your life, and the door's closed and it's just you and your thoughts, man, your brain can take you down places you don't want to go, maybe places you should have went 20 years ago but you never fixed. You just packed it all down or packed it all down and you're like, I'll deal with that later. Well, when you don't have your job anymore because you retired for medical reasons and it's just you and your brain in a room by yourself, you can go down a deep hole fast, which I did. And
It's a
luckily,
scary place, bro.
yeah, yeah, I went down there pretty fast, and then it gets away from you. I mean, before you know it, it gets away from you and you're using more pills that they prescribed you, using more of anything just because you want those feelings to go back into that quiet hut around the corner. No, no, come back out 5 years from now. I'm not ready yet. And you keep saying, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. And then your mind says, I don't care if you're ready. Guess what? I'm coming knocking now. And then if you're not prepared for that, if you don't have a support system, man, you will find whatever you can that just suppress it. And whether it's alcohol, whether I was taking more Ativan than I should have, and pills and stuff psychiatrists give you, and I just wanted to sleep because I didn't want to deal with the stuff that my mind did and that. So yeah, it's a bad road. All I can say to people is like, it's not easy to get out of it. It is not easy, but it just takes one step at a time. Like some of the best
Yes.
advice I heard from you the other day is if you have something that you abuse, don't have it in your house. And that was like, that was one of the best things I think I've ever heard from you. It's like, if you can't not look at that alcohol and say, not today, then don't have it in the house. If you can't stop eating those chips, if you can't stop taking that Ativan because you think it's going to help you, but it's not, don't have it in the house. Or you give it to your partner and say, put this away and only if I really need this, or put this somewhere where I can't get it or stuff like that. You can't let it where you can grab anything you need at any time. Because if you're losing control and all that stuff's around you, you got to get it away from you. You got to get it out of the house. And I had to
You
learn
have
that the
to.
hard way.
Yes, you have to at some point, because what you're talking about is exactly what I was dealing with when I was in my cell. As soon as that cell door closed, like when I was out with population, with the other inmates, I could play chess, I could work, I could go to the gym, I could do things. The minute they shut that door, it's your voices.
Yeah.
It's your past, it's your regret, it's your mistakes. And it doesn't get quieter until you confront it. And that's the hardest thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Because at that point, you realize, okay, I can't blame my parents for this. I can't blame my ADHD for this. I can't even blame my mental health for this. It's all me. There's no justification. It's on me now, and I need to fix it. And this is exactly, like you hit it on the head. The easiest way to do it is to drown it out, go reach for that alcohol, go get that pill, go smoke a joint, right? I'm just gonna turn it off today and I'll deal with it tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll deal with it tomorrow. Push it down the road a little bit more, right? Until the one day, and this is always what I'm trying to get my clients to understand is, I don't care if you're a person who, a recreational drink. I'm fine with that. I don't care. I'm talking to the people who have addictive personalities, addictive personality disorder, someone who is struggling with vices and addiction. No, you cannot, whether it is food, so, trigger foods, alcohol, weed, whatever it is. No, you can't keep that in your house. And you might not ever be able to keep that in your house.
Yeah.
Those are just the facts.
Yeah.
Right? And someone might be able to come on, maybe some experts could be like, oh, he's wrong about that. Shut up. I've lived it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've lived it. I've worked with people who have been through it. And every single person who knows, the real ones know I'm right. And it's not because I'm smarter. I'm not. It's just, I didn't just survive this shit. I lived through this shit and I conquered this shit. And it was because of years, not months, years of redefining who I am. And the big struggle I have with clients is they're like, oh, I can just keep this in my house. And then, so how did things go? Check in with my client. How did things go? Oh, I binged last night. I got out my bread and peanut butter and honey, and and they just go to town. And people are like, well, peanut butter and honey on bread isn't bad. No, it's not necessarily bad. But this individual, they used to struggle with alcohol, and they used to struggle with drugs. And this is now their new coping mechanism is the sweets.
Yeah.
And I saw it all the time when I was in prison. And I told you about this when I was in the AA. I wasn't in AA myself, but when they had the AA meetings in my wing, my cardio bike was just outside the room where they would have it, in the common room. So I would have the bike outside so I didn't miss my cardio, because I used to like to do my cardio when they were doing that. And all of them, all the people that hosted the AA meetings, were either chain smokers, addicted to caffeine, like insane amounts of caffeine, and sweets.
Yeah.
They went from one vice to another because the real issue still wasn't addressed, it still wasn't fixed.
Yeah. How many people say, yeah, I quit smoking, but I gained 15 pounds. Back in the day, that's what everybody said. Oh, you quit smoking, you're going to gain weight. Because you're, like
Why?
you say,
Because you're replacing one coping mechanism with another. Right? Instead of saying, okay, well, I have this unhealthy habit, I need to introduce a healthy habit. Right? And you know, like, look, habits, people will be like, there's no good or bad habits. Okay, fine. You want to go with that logic, fine, whatever. But you know what habits don't do? They don't lie.
Yeah.
Habits are honest. So if you want to tell me that you have no bad habits, okay. Then why are you so fat? Why are you so out of shape? Why are you so damn depressed? Because of your lifestyle and your habits. You have all the wrong ones in there.
Like we said before, the scale on the watch doesn't lie. You know what I mean? Scale and time doesn't lie. You know, it's the two biggest truths out there. Your time is going to let you know how much you wasted, how much you got left. You know, if you're what you're doing to fix it. Like, you only have so much time, and the scale is going to tell you if you snacked or had some drinks or whatever. You get on the scale, it's going to let you know, yeah, you cheated. You did not follow your routine. You know, went back to your old devices of, oh, now that I'm better, I can binge once a week because I'm better. No,
Oh
I had
man,
that
I've
excuse as
heard
well.
that.
I used
Oh
the
my
same
God. Yeah.
goddamn thing. And my drinking's better during the week, so I can drink on weekends now. No.
Yeah.
You know, I eat healthy all week. I'm allowed that cheat meal on Saturday. And a cheat meal, people don't know what a cheat meal is. To them, a cheat meal is gorging on fucking Saturdays
And
or
it's not
Sunday.
even sometimes a cheat meal, it becomes a whole day.
Yeah, a whole weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole weekend gets written off, right? They're good Monday to Friday, then the weekend comes, and it's like it's not like you had half a pizza. That wouldn't derail your week.
Yeah,
It's
no.
the whole pizza, it's a tub of ice cream, and the alcohol that you wash it down with. And then the next meal on Sunday. Right? That's what it is. So like you can't keep these things in your life. You can't keep these triggers in your life while you're trying to build discipline, while you're trying to build habits, because it's not allowing you your desire to develop this new identity to take place. It won't take root. What you're doing isn't aligning with who you want to be.
Yeah.
And there's even a big part of it, and this is kind of the next subject, right? Kind of going forward is there's that fear of change. Right? Your mind wants to be comfortable. You're we do not like change. I mean, look at how much our body would rather just stay and avoid the hard work.
Yeah.
You know, I give you shit when you're doing leg curls. Why is that, Jay? Because your hips want to assist.
Yeah. I want to do the easiest way. I want to use my hips, use my back, use all momentum. I want to use anything to help me out to make it easier.
Right. So it's and that's the same thing, right? It's funny how the gym always transfers. There's things in the gym that always parallel our life, right? So our life wants it wants to be easy, complacent. That change, that is scary. So scary to change this. And you talked about that coming out of the military. Oh, it's so great. And then all of a sudden there's a part of fear and dread and everything is different. While you're struggling trying to figure out who Jason is now and what that is. And we'll go into that a little bit later. And one thing that's always been probably one of the best stories for me when I was in prison was a guy that I did time with in Medium. Now, when I got into Medium, he was, when you're a lifer, you have to do usually at least 2 years in max, at least 2 years in Medium, and then you have a chance of finishing the rest of your time. So if you have 10 years, that would be, you know, maybe another 5 years or so, which is rare. Maybe 4 or 5 years in minimum, and then you're halfway house. And and then you're out. So when I went into medium, I had met another lifer who was 6 months away from going to minimum. That's big. It's a big step for a lifer. He was excited. He was sharing what his goals were. We worked together in the kitchen. He had wanted to open up a bakery, and he could bake. He was the baker for the prison in medium. He made some really good desserts. So small bakery was what his goal was. And okay, I think that's a reasonable goal for someone to have. Maybe not right away, but yeah, dude, that's awesome. I love it. Now the problem is, this guy had been in prison since he was, I think, 18 or 19 years of age. Now when I met him, he was 42 or 43.
Jeez.
So over half of his life has been spent in prison. The last time he spoke with someone outside of the walls in prison was I believe it was the day after he was sentenced to life in prison. The person who he thought was his mother wasn't. So this was actually his stepmother, and he never knew this his whole life. Came and saw him and basically told him, I'm not your real mom. That's why I've always hated you. That's why I've always treated you poorly. We don't want anything to do with you. We hope you rot and die in prison. That was the last contact he had with somebody from the outside world.
Wow.
So now this is back that would have been in I think the 90s, when he had that last interaction with someone from the outside, with his quote unquote family, not his real family.
Right.
So this guy's never seen a cell phone, never held a cell phone. The whole world has passed him by. And he has no outside support. Everything he knows is within the four walls. So now, as much as he might want to go outside and start his life, what's he going out to? It's like going from the Flintstones to the Jetsons.
It's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the whole world's moved on without you.
I mean, when I went into prison in 2008, I had never used a smartphone. But I at least used a cell phone before. I understood that part. So when my wife gave me, she gave me this. What the frig? How do you want me to turn this on? Where's the power button? Where are the keys?
Yeah.
Right? I had to learn that. Now, imagine this guy. So every time he would go before the warden, because in medium you have to pass before the warden in order to go to minimum. Every time he was getting ready to pass before the warden, he would self-sabotage. So he would either test positive in a urinalysis test, or he would get into an argument with a correctional officer or his parole officer, or he would get into a disagreement and maybe a small fight with an inmate. Never enough to bring him back up to max, but just enough to stop him from going to minimum. Right now, maybe some experts are going to be like, well, the technical term isn't self-sabotage. Look, I don't care, whatever the technical term is.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he was doing, is he was stalling his efforts. He was stopping himself from going to that next one. But it makes sense. It makes sense why so many people find it hard to want to take on a new identity or go to that next level, because they're familiar with where they are. They're comfortable where they are. And I'm telling you, the medium security prison I was in was a violent, dangerous place. I mean, I saw a guy get killed in front of me while I was there. So you'd think, I want to be somewhere where I don't have to worry about getting killed.
Yeah.
But it still made more sense for him to be right there.
It's what he felt comfortable in.
Right? You tell that to most people and they'd be like, well, that's nuts.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But that's really the part of that fear of change, and why so many people are resistant to adopting new behaviors into their life.
Yeah. And yeah, and I don't want people to think that we're saying like it's going to be easy or anything. Like the first 2 weeks where I took all that stuff out of the house, it was brutal. I don't know how many times I opened the drawers thinking I would see something I want in there. Like you get up, you start going around, you open the kitchen drawers for that snack that it's not there anymore. But you're going to look in that drawer 10 times and then you're going to close it and you're like, oh, okay. And it's going to force you, okay, well, that's not here. I have to do something. Go for a walk. I have to go do something active, something I could go do my stretching downstairs, whatever. As soon as you keep looking in the drawers and you realize it's not there, then you have to convince your brain, I have to find something healthy, something beneficial, something else that will help me instead of going for that snack or going for that thing whenever I feel anxious or something like that. It's hard. The first 2 weeks are going to be brutal. You're going to chew your fingernails because you want whatever coping mechanism you do. You're going to pace the house. You're gonna go insane. And I recommend if you do this, do it in the summer so you can at least go outside, go for walks, listen to the birds, do whatever. But if you try doing it, especially in the winter where it's like a minus a gazillion like right now, and then you're stuck in the house and you try to do it, it's going to be very hard. So put everything kind of there in place to help you ahead of time because it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be a bad struggle, you
No,
know?
absolutely. You nailed it, right? It's lack of self-awareness. So we have to be, a lot of the things we do are just automatic, right?
Yeah.
Again, we're conditioned. So we're going to do things automatically without even thinking, right? So we have to start developing a bit of awareness, right? And that's the importance of knowing these patterns, right? If smoking, scrolling, eating, negative self-talk, right? Those things, drinking, right? Reaching for the drink, reaching for the pill,
Yeah.
reaching for that joint, right? All those things. So we have to recognize those patterns. And then we also then can use tools. So for myself, one of the tools I use in order to kind of get better was self-reflection. So if you're struggling with something, it's not always about doing something healthy. And you're right. Like you and I though are wired that way. So
Yeah.
we'll try to be like, oh, I need to go do something healthy. And that's part of, your identity, even though you struggle with things that are quote unquote unhealthy, right? There's still a part of you that is definitely more disciplined and geared towards taking care of yourself,
Yeah.
right? Your body's your business card kind of approach, right?
Right.
But for others, it's not always about health because that's not maybe something they're familiar with. So self-reflection, think about it this way. For anyone who's listening, you need to start being more accountable and responsible for what you do. So for me, it was journaling,
Oh, yes. Yes.
right? Practicing mindfulness, right? Because if you're journaling isn't, it is something I think people don't understand quite the purpose of what journaling is for. When I was using journaling, it was for helping me manage my emotions because I was very reactive.
Yeah.
So I still was very reactive when I was incarcerated. So in order to start getting better at managing my emotions, I would write about them. Why, what situation happened, what I was feeling, how I reacted. And in doing so, it was a form of therapy. I was able to just kind of leave everything on the paper. And I was actually able to start learning what my patterns were. When someone did something, I would react a certain way. And it was learning and recognizing these patterns and tracking my triggers and my emotions. And this is something that, again, I want my listeners to learn from. Because you don't necessarily have to go to the gym. And the thing is if you're struggling with self-care, how many times can you work out a day? So you have to understand the gym is a form or exercise is a form of self-care, but there are many other aspects of managing self-care. So journaling, mindfulness, breath work, gratitude, social, all these things are forms of self-care. All these things are ways to help address our triggers and our issues. in working towards developing a new identity. And it's not doing them all at once.
Yeah.
One thing kind of at a time. You don't want to take on too much. But maybe the last thing that someone's going to do is go into the gym. Okay. Okay. Well, what else can you do right now in order to better your situation?
Yeah, I found reading helped me. Like, I used to never read books, you know what I mean? And then picked up an odd book there, you start reading, and then at first it's hard because to tell your mind to concentrate on the book. It's actually hard at first because you're so used to just going, spinning and stuff. But then the more you try to read, then I find I would get a few pages, and a couple weeks later, I'm getting a chapter, and then this and that. And you just got to find a good book, or even people that, oh, I don't like reading. Well, then listen to books online. You can listen to books online where you just put the thing in your ears. You can just close your eyes and listen. There's lots of podcasts out there, like soothing podcasts. There's all sorts of different kind of like relaxing sounds you can listen to, like praying podcasts. There's church. There's whatever you're into. There's podcasts for it nowadays that you can put that in and reading. And you can put that on and go for a walk while you're listening to stuff in your head. And you just go for a walk through the wilderness and listen, look at the birds, just look at the rivers or whatever, even if you drive out to the country where there's no noise, no nothing. You just go into the woods. It's just, yeah, it's nice. I find it's just little things like that.
Yeah, nature is such a again for people that aren't, maybe they don't believe in God. That's fine. Yeah, like I'm not here to tell you what you need to believe in, but even just connecting with nature is very deeply spiritual.
Yeah, I find nature really, really good. Going for those walks in nature, not in the
Yeah.
winter. But I've
What?
had enough of
Not on a day like today?
I've had enough of cold nature walks.
Yeah,
Spring, summer,
I'm sure
fall,
you
I love
have.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely difficult, and kind of going into the next part, a part of this whole journey when it comes to trying to create this new identity, right? It starts with motivation. But I've told you this, I tell everyone this. I'm sure some of the listeners here who know me have heard me say this. Motivation is fleeting, right? Discipline and desire, these are kind of what's next. Motivation gets you started.
Yeah.
Discipline, desire, those help you more as you develop into the person you need to be, as you develop habits and traits and values that are going to help align you with this new identity. But where I think discipline becomes hard is, again, this resistance to change, right? That makes it hard. And then also you think of our first introduction to discipline. When someone says discipline, first time I heard discipline when I was a kid, I was getting an ass whooping.
Yeah,
Right?
it's true.
It wasn't
Yeah.
when someone said discipline to me when I was a kid, I didn't know discipline was like putting the fork down.
Yeah.
Right? Discipline, as soon as I heard the word discipline when I was a kid, I was like, oh, shit. Like where's the belt? Where's
Yeah.
like I'm gonna get an ass whooping right now.
Every
Right. So
Gen
there
X,
is
yeah.
a negative connotation around discipline, right? So there's already that set in from a very young age. That discipline is a bad thing, but it's not restrictive or punitive. That's not what discipline is. Discipline is arguably one of the greatest forms of self-care that you can implement into your life. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's just if I didn't have discipline, or like if I didn't have discipline, I wouldn't be where am today. And like you say, motivation is great at first. So I look at motivation. My example of motivation, when people ask me, I say motivation is like having a Monster energy drink. It gives you the energy. It gives you the get up and go and stuff like that. But could you do it without it? And once that wears off, are you still going to keep going in the gym when that motivation wears off? And so you have to make that kind of next step. Like, yeah, the first 2 weeks, you're motivated to do anything the first 2 weeks. Or the first 2 days, even, you're motivated as anything. You set your alarm early, you get up and da-da-da. But once that third day, third week, whatever kicks in, the motivation's gone. That's when the discipline has to take over. That's when the desire, the change has to take over. Monsters and pre-workouts and everything else will only get you so far. But when all that wears off and everything else, it just comes down to you again. You got to fight with your mind, switch it over from motivation to discipline and just make it a part of your life. And it's hard to do.
Yeah. And you actually kind of made me think of a really easy illustration. And when you talked about the Monster, right? There's nothing wrong with caffeine.
Yeah.
I love coffee. You know, I was drinking a coffee while we started our podcast, right? I mean, I love a cup of coffee, but if all you're relying on to get you going is a cup of coffee, you're missing the big picture. You need to prioritize sleep and nutrition and exercise over caffeine.
Yeah.
Right. So it's the same thing, right? It's the motivation, the discipline, the habits, the structure that are aligning with who you want to become. Right? Your mind isn't stupid. You can't wake up one day and say, I'm fit, or I am disciplined, or I'm not depressed. No, that's not how it works. Your brain's going to be like, yeah, okay, dumbass. So we have to change the language. It's, well, if I want to eat healthier, you can't say, well, I eat healthy. No, I'm going to eat healthier from this day forward. Well, now it's starting to align with what you're currently doing. Now we're starting to build a new identity, and we have to keep doing it every day. Again, the doppelganger thing. We got to wake up and do it every day. Okay, who do I need to be? What's the identity I want to work towards today? What do I need? Who do I want to be? What do I need to do? Yeah. How do I want to feel? Feel is going to be like, what am I saying to myself? Yeah. What does being healthy to you mean? What do you want it to mean? What do you need to be for that to mean? What do you need to do? What do you need to feel? It's not complicated.
Yeah.
It might, I know for some people it's like, man, Tyson, this sounds like a lot, but it's not. It's not. It's just hard to do.
I was going to say, it's not complicated, but it is one of the hardest friggin' things you will fight with in your brain that get you active, that get you off the bad vices, that get you putting that drink away or not having it in the house. It's the easiest thing when you talk about it, but it is the hardest thing to do all the time.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't need to be disciplined to sit on your ass and scroll all day. You don't need to be disciplined to avoid your traumas. Yeah. You don't need to be disciplined to sleep in. You don't need to be disciplined to eat fast food and not meal prep.
Yeah.
You only need discipline, and this I think sums it up. You only need discipline in the things that are good for you.
Yeah.
You only need it for those things. And discipline is hard, again, because it conflicts with who you are and the identity you have of yourself, and especially when it's intergenerational.
Yes, yes.
Especially when you come from a family of overweight people, when you come from a family of alcoholics, when you come from a family of abusers, when you come from a family of users, of mental health. They are, therefore I am.
Yeah, it's all I know. Yeah.
Yeah. But in the end, the buck stops at you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It stops at you.
Yeah. Think of your kids. Think of the kids nowadays. If they see you every Sunday spending 3 hours meal prepping for the whole week, that's going to pass on to them 100%. Just like if they see you ordering pizza and having 2 beers every Sunday, they're going to remember that. If you do your meal prepping every Sunday, they're going to see that and they'll be like, oh, okay, this is what you need to do in life to be healthy, whatever. Meal prep every Sunday. Spend your 3 hours every Sunday in meal prep, whatever it is, Kids are going to do exactly what they see, 100%, like you say.
We were talking about this, I think it was on Thursday or Friday. I was talking about how someone we know has a tough time going into healthy relationships. And I asked you, like, what did they see growing up? How was their, because you know them better than I do. How was their parents' relationship?
Yeah, it was
especially their relationship. How was her relationship with her father?
Yeah, it was. So the mom-dad course was horrible. It was arguments. It was divorce, separation, everything. And then they went right into the exact same thing.
Yeah. It's what you know.
Yeah. And
then they go into a good relationship and it's like, and I'm guilty of this.
Yeah.
Like before I met Joelle, because I had this watching negative relationships and then not caring about myself, not giving a damn about myself. I went into an unhealthy relationship. right? You're going to draw what you are,
Yeah.
right? Unhealthy doesn't draw healthy. And when I did attract a couple of girls before my ex that were healthy, I was like, well, this is like, what the shit? Like, why you like this? Like, oh my God, it was foreign. And I pushed them away and I ran, and then I ran into the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Because that's what I felt I merited. That seemed normal to me.
Yeah, you crave the drama.
Yeah. Well, not even crave. It's normal to you. Well, this makes sense. Now even though you know everything is wrong in that relationship, you're just sitting there. You're like, yeah, okay, well, I get this.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with this.
Yeah, this is just like growing up. This is just like my teenage years at home and everything else.
It's not conflicting with who you are. In fact, it completely aligns with how you were raised and what you know. Right? So now it doesn't feel like you're betraying yourself. And that's what's hard. Discipline, habits. You're trying to put in these new ones. Again, not healthy, but you're like, you're putting in these new things in your life, and it feels like betrayal.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard. You look at if we're looking at maybe examples of triggers, right? And vices. So you think of, I'm bored. What do most people end up doing?
Yeah, you're going to snack, or you're going to have a drink, or, you know what I mean?
Snacking to me, hands down, the most common with all my clients. What happens in the evening? Clients will be dead on with the nutrition throughout the day. And then they get home, they have dinner, they have a good dinner, but then they're either watching Netflix or they're on their phone scrolling, and they are bored. There's nothing actively engaging them mentally. Because scrolling and watching an episode doesn't require any real brain power. So you're bored. So you're going to reach for something. You're going to snack. Idle hands, the work of the devil, right? Yeah. You're not actually hungry.
No, I don't think I've ever snacked on a hungry.
It could be you're dehydrated. You didn't get enough, but your body's not recognizing that. It's what I do. It's been my go-to. So instead of acknowledging, wait a minute, I am not hungry right now. I've gotten sufficient amount of calories today. I'm bored. It's recognizing the patterns. It's smoking when you're stressed or drinking when you're stressed. Right? Emotional triggers can cause you to drink because you don't have to deal with reality.
Yeah. It turns that little piece off. Yeah.
Yeah. Those traumas, those triggers, the stress, right? I hate using those words, triggers, but anyways, it is what it is. And it's a true thing. Right? And so it's like, well, I'm going to either smoke a joint. That was my big thing. I'm either going to smoke a joint, or for other people, I need to have a drink. I need to escape the reality right now. I need to escape what I'm feeling right now. I just don't want to deal with this.
Yeah.
Now's not the time. Yeah, it's never the time.
Yeah, I know. I learned that the hard way.
There's never going to be convenient. I don't have time for this shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Until it gets too bad to ignore, too big to ignore.
Yeah.
And now your kids are estranged, your relationship is destroyed, you lost your job.
Yeah.
Or you're in prison.
Yeah.
Now you got time to address it.
Now you don't have a choice. Yeah.
Now you got no choice. Your wife's taking half your shit. Okay. Feel like addressing it now? No. Okay. Keep drinking. Because it's your wife's fault.
Yeah.
Sure, maybe she had a part to play in it, but guess what? So did you. No one's innocent. No one's innocent of where they are and where they ended up. Victim of circumstance, a true victim of circumstance, that is so rare. So rare in today's day and age. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying it's rare. And even if you are a victim of circumstance, you're still responsible for your healing.
Yeah. Well, your mind is
still on you.
what your mind's really good at is it saves everything. So it just doesn't bring up the last 2 years. And
Everything.
when mine, it brought up childhood, it bring up everything I didn't deal with. It just says, okay, no problem. I'm going to put it over here. But it's piling. It's piling, piling, piling. And when it all comes, it all comes. So, yeah. And when you get 25, 26 years of that shit and it hits you, whoo, yeah, you do anything
Yeah.
to put it
And
back on the shelf, you know?
yeah, no, yeah. I don't want to deal with this right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
tough. You know, another thing people even need to think of, it can even be certain environments,
Yeah.
spots, old hangouts,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
right? Another thing people need to be aware of, the social aspect,
Yeah.
right? I've had clients who, I tell them, you need to take a different way home.
Yeah.
You need to take a different route home, because that's where you stop and get your treats, your snacks,
Yeah.
at a convenience store. Well, that's where you stop and get your alcohol,
Yeah. The liquor store is just down there. Yeah.
right? Oh, that's where you stop and go to the weed store. Well, that's where you stop and you go have a drink at your favorite bar. But you got to find a
Yeah.
new route. I don't care if that's the quickest way home. It's also the quickest way back for you to relapse and for you
Yeah.
to destroy your chances of developing this new identity.
Yeah, because your old identity's always that friend that's like, "Come on back, we miss you.
Yeah.
Come
Come
on
on,
back."
man. Come on, the water's warm, bro.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're fine now. You can go back and see us. It won't put you back. You're just coming in to say hi. It's funny how me and you
So,
have both been down that one.
oh, dude, we've been there, done that, survived it, and now thriving.
And maybe someone else out there can learn from our mistakes or
Well,
ask
that's
us
what this
questions.
that's what this episode's about. That's why I wanted to start this podcast. It is a very honest. I mean, yeah, sure, we write a little bit of a script to go off of, but that's why I wanted to do this with you. Is just to talk honestly and openly, and not because we read shit in a book.
Yeah,
It's about lived experience.
yeah,
Like, it's cool that people have a degree, they understand, but if you haven't lived it, if you don't have that practical experience, then how are you actually going to empathize and understand and have the necessary compassion to help people that are in the darkest place? And it's like, sometimes we just need those, I put this in my stories and on Instagram, like sometimes you just need someone to sit with you in the darkness,
yeah,
not to lead me out, but just to be with me until I find the
yeah.
light.
Just sit there. You know where the door is. You're just not ready to go through it. So your
Just
buddy will
hold
just
space.
Yeah, your buddy will just sit there until you're ready to go through it with you. Like that thing you said in the office last week there. It made so much sense. You're like, a psychiatrist knows what you're supposed to feel like. They understand, okay, your brain's going to trigger this and it knows it feels it, but they don't know that true feeling. Like we were talking about fear of water or this or that or the fear of doing something. They know, okay, your brain's going to feel this, and they can talk to you all day of what it's supposed to feel like. But until you actually have that feeling, that's when you can really talk about it, you know?
You think of an alcoholic can empathize with an alcoholic,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
A recovering alcoholic can empathize with an alcoholic. A vet can empathize with someone who's been in wars.
Yeah.
They know, right? We know when you're sitting with that person who's you've been where they are. Is it exactly the same? No,
Yeah.
doesn't have to be. But going through those hardships creates an understanding, right? And again, as a mentor, as a coach, again, it's not for me to pull you out of the darkness. It's just to be there to support, to encourage, to guide. And that's why it's so important for people to take an active role in their healing. It's and that's, again, I'm going to go back to journaling, self-reflection, journaling.
Yeah.
Telling you people, I can't hammer this home enough. A big part of my rehabilitation was journaling. And doing so, I was able to learn to forgive myself, to forgive others who hurt me, and to move on.
Yeah.
I needed to take note of my feelings and my behaviors and the situations that led to certain actions. And it reveals that the more you write, that's what's quite kind of cool about that journal, is the more you write in it, the more you can go back into your entries and it shows a pattern. And you don't need to be a specialist to recognize a pattern.
Yeah.
You don't. You don't need a degree to recognize a pattern.
Yeah.
Anyways, so let's work on some strategies now. So strategies to work around the roadblocks. We addressed a whole bunch of roadblocks. So what are some strategies? So I love this quote from Tony Robbins, and he said, progress equals happiness. Right? A lot of the time we're like, well, if I achieve my goal, that's what's going to make me happy. No, you don't even need to achieve your goal to be happy.
Yeah.
You just need to be working towards your goal to get just as much fulfillment. And I remember when my first goal in prison was a physical one, because that was the one I was best at. So it's like I started with what I was best at before I got to the hard shit. So my big thing is I went to food. Food was my coping mechanism. I decided I'm going to get my eating under control, get back into training the way I know how. So for a long time, food and buying stupid shit, because you can buy stuff in prison, was what gave me dopamine, or what made me feel better. Right? It's like when people hear you're eating and you're buying shit on Amazon. I can't wait for my package to come in today. Right? You're watching your Nest, you're like looking on your phone. Yeah. Oh, that's coming. Oh, my package is coming today. You get that dopamine rush and you're buying something the next day. Why? Because you just want the dopamine. You just want that hit.
Yeah.
But when I actually started to actively take charge of my health, first, I think it was 6 months. So I went from 280 pounds. I had a 44-inch pant that I was wearing. In 6 months, I went from 280 to 209. I dropped a shit ton of fat. I got lean. I got in arguably the best shape of my life. And my dopamine was coming from like just seeing the changes on the scale. Every couple weeks, every 3 weeks or so, or 4 weeks, I had to go in for new pants. My pants were dropping off me. 44 to a 42 to a 40 to a 38, right? To a 36. That was such a reward in investing in myself and taking care of myself while I was working towards my goal.
Yeah.
Right? That progress is huge. So again, for people that are looking, right, strategies. First, you need to start by setting a realistic goal. That's why my first goal was health. That's why it was the gym, because I was good at that. I knew that. I knew how to do that. I knew how to take that approach. And being successful in creating a new identity is about getting wins as fast as possible. Get wins, see progress, see you can do something.
Yeah.
Right? And then the other things are going to come. They're going to come over time. But just start with that one thing. So you need that. So for you, was there with your kind of new thing, I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, but what was your one thing right off the hop?
After the military type thing?
Yeah, after the military. What was the one thing right off the hop that helped you the most?
The volunteering at a farm. Volunteering at a farm was massive. Just working with horses, walking the horses, riding the horses, learning all about the horses, cleaning their hooves and everything. Like, something about working with animals, unbelievably calming, unbelievable. Animals are always happy to see you. Doesn't matter what you're doing. They'll come up running to you. They know they're going to get brushed. They know they're going to see you. They know they're going to get a pet, whatever. Take them out for a ride, and I clean them after, brush them. I don't know, something about, for me, volunteering at a farm, been amazing. Absolutely amazing, working with horses and chickens and cows and everything, goats and everything that's there.
Yeah, that was the one I wanted you to hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the one thing you didn't cover in your whole thing was your volunteer work, because I remember how much that helped you.
Yeah. And I remember I was talking to you all the time about, I met this horse. His name's Flash. This is his personality. And this other horse, his name name's Peanut. He does this. He's a little shit, and he kicked me off. All the stories I tell you all the time about him and stuff like that. So,
It
but
gave you
yeah,
some purpose again. You're
yeah,
working towards something.
yeah, and yeah,
We are driven and we're more capable and likely when we have purpose in life to succeed. We need to have direction. We need to have purpose. And that, I was so happy when you went and did that, man. I was like, oh my God, thank goodness. It's not just you at home with your thoughts.
yeah, yeah. And I liked that. At first, I started like once a week, and then I was going twice a week because it was great. And I'm in the country, beautiful summer day. The sun is out. I'm working with the animals, and the horses are going around. Just peace and quiet. And yeah, it's work, but it's not hard work. It lets you do. And I'm qualified on a lot of stuff, so I was able to drive the tractor, move the hay bales, help out the farm, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it was a really good thing for me to work with animals. And then when I started at that farm, I didn't realize there's already 3, 4 veterans there already doing it. The same thing, working on the farm. There's so many farms that you don't realize out in the country. They're always looking for volunteers, always looking for veterans or people that need to just brush animals, help clean them, stuff like that. There's lots of farms out there that do that.
It's beautiful, man.
Yeah,
It was one of the things I appreciated when I was in prison, when I went and did volunteer work before they let me out. You have to.
right.
And it really gave me insight into just how fortunate I was,
Yeah,
even though I was still incarcerated. Right. And it's so important for people to understand there is happiness in the pursuit,
yeah,
not in the achievement.
yeah,
The achievement's great, but like embrace the process. That's why they always say that. Embrace the process.
yeah. And then you
Whatever you're
just get
working towards.
yeah, you just get more involved in it. Like, got to the point that I didn't want to miss a week because I'd miss seeing Flash, one of my favorite horses. You know what I mean? I wanted to go see Flash and stuff like that. He was kind of like me, an old dog, a little slower now and stuff like that. So I got along great with him. Some of the younger whipper ones, they'd be like, "Oh, you want to try ride that one?" Nah, no, I'm
I'm
good.
good.
Yeah, I'll stick with Flash. Me and him are on the same pace. But yeah, it just volunteering animals. If you don't want people, a lot of people don't want to deal with people. 100% agree with that. There's animals will never judge. Animals are always there. Animals are always happy to see you. Yeah, farms work great. Absolutely great.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, man. So just to kind of, sum up the episode today when it comes to the listeners and hearing kind of our personal experience, what we've been through, and I think it gives a pretty good outline. So for everyone listening, identify what you wanted to do when it comes to forging this new identity, right? Whatever you're struggling with and whatever you want to work towards, you need to sit down and figure that out. Figure out the why. For me, I want to get out of prison. I want my freedom. I don't want to be here for the rest of my life, right? Otherwise, my identity is going to be my inmate number.
Yeah.
My identity is going to be that, being a victim of bad decisions. It's just no, right? So I had that. So you, as the listeners, you need to find that. What's your why? What are you working towards? What are the things you need to work on? What are the habits you need to introduce? Are your habits, are the things that you're introducing, are they aligning with who you want to be? Right? Again, because like I said, whether you want to believe in good habits or bad habits, habits are honest. They're truthful. So you need to look at what you're currently doing and adjust accordingly. Next, you need to build a support system. And having the right people in your corner. Doesn't need to be a lot of people. Actually, in fact, you're probably going to need to remove a lot of people.
Yeah. 100%.
All the wrong people.
Yeah.
Remove all those things. Remove the vices. Clean out your cupboards. Get rid of it. Don't justify leaving it in there.
Yeah.
You
will go looking for it. You will go looking for it. Yeah.
I'm not talking about people that have a healthy balance, a healthy approach. No. If you're listening to this, most likely you do not have a healthy approach. So you need to purge.
Yeah.
You need to purge and detox your life of people, of substances, of traits, of all these things. The mindset, the conditioning, reconditioned. You're thinking like, if anyone's like a car lover, you ever see a car get like reconditioning a vehicle? Strip it down.
Yeah.
Strip it down to the bare bones. They take it apart. They don't just shine the leather. Right? They rip everything out. They
Yeah, I
rip
like
everything
that
out because
analogy.
underneath,
No, I watched
underneath,
it.
yeah, yeah, underneath the seats, underneath the carpet, it's rusted. It needs to be stripped down. You need to strip yourself down. Otherwise, all that shit is still going to be there underneath the surface.
Underneath the fancy car wash and the clean
Yeah.
seats and yeah.
You
I
pull
like
back that carpet. Ooh. And that is what destroys people, is that they don't unaddress what's lying just underneath the surface. You can polish a turd, it's still a turd.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and then developing healthy coping mechanisms, right? So again, the journaling, exercise, meditation, hobbies. Bring in healthy hobbies. Whatever that looks like for you. Okay? You need good coping strategies when you're dealing with whatever. And then the last thing is allowing yourself to have a bit of compassion. Practice self-compassion. You need to forgive yourself for what's happened in your life. Otherwise, your past is always going to define who you are. Right? That will be there's so much to unpack in that one though, and I think that will be a really good podcast, because that in itself was one of my biggest struggles.
Yeah.
Was moving on from the past. I know you struggled with that. We've touched on it a bit today, but definitely something to delve into greater detail into a future episode. So to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. I hope you learned something today. I hope you guys can put it into practice. I wish everyone the best on your road to redemption. It is one of the hardest journeys to embark upon, but it is the most rewarding. Thank you. Stay tuned for another episode.